Material has been broadcasted and announced. Roll call of committee members we will start with. If you could, Renee, please first.
Lyon, present.
Sorgi, present.
Anderson, present.
Wayland, present.
He present.
All right. Since roll call has been completed, we will proceed to adoption of the agenda. As posted, we have a 17-item agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as printed?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved by Renee, second by
Anderson.
excuse me. Okay. Richard Anderson, making sure that I don't get first names messed up on that. Any discussion on the adoption of the agenda? Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of adopting the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in
Aye.
Thank you. Those in opposition, no. Seeing none, we will approve the agenda. The next item, number 5 on the agenda, is approval of the August 14th, 2025 regular meeting minutes from the meeting that we had at Petrick Park. Is there a motion for approval?
I have a question.
You bet.
Just one update. That bat information is not Wisconsin DNR. That was Beaver Creek Reserve Citizen Science Center.
Should I just write that on there, Jack? Is it on the minutes?
It's just in case somebody would want to go follow up on it. Got to get a hold of Jeanette Kelly and her team.
Show me where that is.
Thank you for that correction, Buzz. Appreciate knowing where it came from, sources.
Beaver Creek Citizen Science Center.
Any other additions or corrections to the minutes from the August 14th meeting? Is there a motion to approve the August 14th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Buzz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Richard. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we shall proceed to a vote for approval of the August 14th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those in opposition, no. Motion passes. We'll approve the regular meeting minutes as presented for the August 14th meeting. Public comment. It is now 8:34. We'll have public comment available. The call-in number is 715-538-1894. Repeating the number, 715-538-1894. With that, conclusion as far as the public comment announcement. Number 7, the Great River Road update. Gene, we've got you available.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, Gene.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we have you, Gene.
Okay, good morning. Welcome, Lexi. Hopefully I can meet you in person soon. In regards to the Wisconsin Great River Road, it was extremely successful at the Wisconsin State Fair. The Trempealeau County visitor guides were taken, as well as the Wisconsin Great River Road visitor guides, and we went through 10 boxes, and we will be taking extra next year. People were extremely interested in our county. They've been seeing things out, so marketing has been doing well. And it's a good thing because, of course, we want people to travel the 250 miles and eat and stay and enjoy our counties. Our new website is continuing to be created, and our goal is to have that done prior to May 2026. In a couple weeks, commissioners from all 10 states will be attending the annual Mississippi River Parkway Commission annual meeting. Everyone is looking forward to going that, and when the information gets done from that, I will give a report like I always do in this. And the last thing I have is that our people are already starting to put together the 2026 visitor guide information packet. So I will make sure that Lexi gets that information, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Gene, especially for all the promotion as far as for Trempealeau County. We appreciate your efforts as far as with the Great River Road. Continuing on to number 8 on the agenda, the communications report from Lexi Boynton.
Hello. Okay, so I'll start with our social media report. Our YouTube has over 50 new subscribers. Our tourism Facebook page has 44. And then our government page has 56. And then that was for the whole month of August. So we pulled those right away. So continuing to grow, looking on locking in a few more campaign strategies going forward. So those will be coming, and then I can give another report on those. The GEM grant year 2 was submitted yesterday, so we should hear back in about a month, they told me. And then something else our team is working on is a carbon monoxide partnership with Health and Human Services. We did a letter of support with them, but we don't have any additional steps until we hear back from them. We would be partnering with them, utilizing Kevin to help with PSAs, and then also using Danny for social posts for the importance of carbon monoxide. The visitor's guide, I'm meeting with Pilch and Barnett next week, and then I will be going with Brandy to help sell ads with that for a couple. But I'll be partnering with her. She'll be local, going around to businesses to try and get people to join us on that. And then I've been working through the budget. The internal newsletter will be going out today for the month of September. Danny helped me with that, and she did a really great job. And then I reached out for the Arrow Shopper. I'm waiting to hear back, but we should get something in there soon for the parks and promoting that for the off-season. Any questions?
No, I just wanted to comment that I think that you traveling around with Brandy Berg, new real estate agent, she's very ambitious. I think it'll be a good exposure for the county.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And Lexi, I really appreciate the Facebook summaries so that I can just share them with everything. Number 1 on the list of sharing everything that going on in Trempealeau County, of course, is my mom down in Darlington, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So then she shares it all the way down there. So we get some free stuff just because you put those updates on there, and they're really easy to read and they're understandable. I really like the weekly updates. It's really been nice on Facebook and stuff.
I have a question. So if citizens take pictures of the county or think they have something that they maybe might be worthwhile to post, they can't post that to the Facebook. Should they contact you?
So they can tag us on Instagram or Facebook and we'll see it. But right now, I'm working on a policy with Susan. We are not sharing other posts at the moment. So
I understand. You don't want to have, yeah. Okay, thanks. That's why I thought maybe contact you. Thanks.
yes.
And if there's anything else you need, Lexi, remember, this is the group to contact. We're resources for you, and if there's other information that you need from the county or suggestions on specific challenges, we're available as far as if you need that. All right, thank you, Lexi.
Thank you.
And next, item number 9 on the agenda is the park report with Jack A. Morning, Jack.
Morning. Having trouble getting onto my agenda packet, Lexi. I don't know if you can pull up the packet and get into the Zoom. I was just gonna start with that. For some reason, my VPN or my Wi-Fi around the building kind of given me a little issue ever since I've started, but it's just like sparsely. So I'm not able to get into my packet today. But I'll get on with the park report. Looking into doing an outdoor skills type program at the park with UW Extension. Working with Adam Trenzo and Andrea Ripley on that. Excited because hasn't really been something we've done since 2018 out at the park. And outdoor programming really fits in with what we want to try to do out there, and creating more traffic and a more positive image of Peacher Park getting more use. So outdoor skills really was something that I thought was going to be very, very beneficial for the park long-term if we could get something down. So my thought was to put this in my park improvements budget, and then work on a programming account for in the future. But that park improvements kind of goes, it is a broad account, and would allow us to, I think programming is something that should be at Petrick. So that's kind of where we're moving. We're anticipating maybe a program that's, surrounded by survivalist skills, trying to target 7th grade students, and then reaching out directly to districts. UW Extension would do that, get in touch with science teachers, agriculture teachers, and a couple cities around, or neighboring communities around the area, and then we'd look to expand in time, so we can, offer something a little bit more robust. But to start, we want to keep it small scaled, ask a couple people if they're interested, and kind of see how everything goes.
May I comment here?
Yep.
I think it's an excellent idea. I think it's going to promote the park immensely. If you
Yeah.
have children getting excited about it, they're going to tell their relatives and parents. I think it starts with our kids. Thanks.
Another idea for it too, Jack, is every short period, it normally turns out to be monthly, the ag teachers in the county get together at a separate instructor's place and they plan out similar stuff to what you're talking about with what's
Yeah.
going on. And it'd be a good chance for you guys to touch, especially if you talk to the new instructor at Independence and the instructor at Arcadia that are adjacent to Petrick Park, because every month there's a topic that, they're trying to do a good job with labs, just like you're talking about.
Yeah, and the good thing about that too is Adam had reached out to the first contact from Independence, and it's Jennison Sala. So we just had a cross-country meet with her, and I was like, oh, well, that's convenient. So good to keep building those working relationships and those connections. So I think all in the name of Petrick Park and trying to get more traffic there is what it's for. And then we'll move on if we're good out on that. Do you have any other questions?
All the school districts in the county.
We, not to start, I think I'm letting them handle that this first year, and they're gonna start more locally.
And I'm not familiar with those extension employees. What programming do they cover?
I'm not, they do cover the entire county.
What specific programs? 4-H?
Yeah, 4-H programs. They did have some knowledge of this type of thing. The park did something back in 2018 when they had this type of program. And basically, we hadn't had somebody to help facilitate on the county's end when it came to programming.
And like topic-wise, right now, if you set up a specific lab to tree identification, where you number the trees and have a lab sheet, a lot of people make use of that stuff, that if it's made, that be available. Or right now, wildflowers are a topic, and plants, probably
Right.
number one for the vegetative. If we have an identification part of it, a lot of the teachers are looking for that instant lab, and the advantage they have as far as a lot of the instructors that have bus licenses, they can get in if there's something that's accessible. They will use it as far as if it's there,
Yeah.
you've got it set up. But you just tell them, okay, this is length of time it's set up, then we're taking it down on this day. If you give them deadlines, then they schedule it in, because they know they're gonna lose a chance for that good educational opportunity out in the real world.
Yeah.
And Petrick Park is awesome for doing that,
Yep.
getting them out in the real world with stuff. So if there's labs available, just get word to them. A lot of them will use it. It's not that they're lazy, it's just they wanna be efficient.
Yep, and I really like the idea of like some type of compass-based scavenger hunt. So you could pair something, I've mentioned that to Adam and Andrea, and we could pair something like that with that activity, and I think you could have something neat there for that part of the series.
And just another thing additional to it would be GIS. hot topic for any of the outdoor instruction is having a GIS course set up.
map.
And when you do GIS, have it that if it's geocaching, that's fine, but most of the time, it works good to have a final summary at the end where they had to actually see it. I know the labs that I would put together, they had to make sure they saw 2, 3, and 4 to be able to figure out what the answer was at the end when it was 10. So they
Right.
weren't just trying to jump around. The kids really get into it, especially if they can use their phone. If they can use their phone, their GIS, or if you have, most of the schools in the past had the GPS coordinates that they could pull up. I doubt if they do it as much now as they used to.
Sure.
And then, I don't know.
Everybody use the handheld GPSs or everybody's just using their phones.
Everybody's in the end, for me, everybody was using their phone. It was a lot easier to control when you had the GPS and you knew what the answer would be.
Yeah.
The phones, you can get all kinds of answers for specifics, because some of them get down too detailed, which you don't need to do if you're geocaching or the
Use Google
GPS.
Earth for that, or-
Most of them will use something three-dimensional. Google Maps is something that they do on some of it now. I was impressed with how Petrick Park shows up on the Google Maps.
Yeah.
It's huge. It makes it look like it's, very impressive
Yeah.
when you see that show up. I don't know if you guys got to upload something in there, but it's really impressive when you see it on Google Maps.
Yep, and then we'd be aiming for a October 14th or 21st, after lunch type thing, or right away mid-morning, just a couple hours basically, where these groups come in, and we're in a few different stations with them. So should have more details about that next meeting. And then we can move on to the natural play area. Basically found out that we'd be receiving word early September. So I included a fundraising thing in anticipation of that for a little bit later on. But we were kind of getting to that point where we have to start thinking about, if we get the grant, what are we gonna do? So, yeah, you had a question, Buzz?
No, are we tied into a specific design content? And looked like, and equipment was what they had. I mean, a friend of mine actually did a big sale of black locust to a company out of Iroquois, and they do similar park development stuff, but they use all natural black locust stuff.
Oh, really?
And I was trying to bring it up on my phone, their website. I think I got it on, or maybe could look at it afterwards. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It gives the context of these play areas a whole different look. You take the plastic out of it and put in wood that doesn't decay, basically. And, but it's a local sourcer too, down in
Sure.
Baroque, Wisconsin, who designs and builds these outdoor play areas out of black locust. And they're actually, this friend of mine
Yeah.
is doing a timber sale of it, and I mean, they're taking some huge trees, and they look for a unique aspect in the tree to incorporate into specific play area designs.
And we're trying to address that through keeping those trees locally sourced. Basically, I think what we're trying to do is get a few trees in front of the healthcare center marked. And more needs to be done for that, but we're targeting live cut oaks with a specific diameter and a couple limbs splitting off.
Yeah.
Basically, they have to be live cut so they can be sustainable and be useful for hopefully 15, 20 years before we'd have to replace them. So
I don't know
I
if you're
think that's,
familiar with black locust, but it doesn't go
Uh-huh.
away.
yeah, so he was, Phil,
Oh, it's
was,
super hard.
Phil's
It's-
targeting, wanting me to target live oak, basically.
Well, you ought to mention black locust to him. I mean, black locust does not decay. It'll last 50 years.
And there's somewhere in Viroqua that
I'll bring,
sources
we'll
that.
go through this text string I got, and I can text Dave too and get that.
Yeah,
But I was just on their website one day looking at some of their design stuff. It's pretty awesome looking stuff.
was it Hawkeye?
I don't know, I'll
Yeah.
have to, you may
Okay.
have, I know he's doing his timber sale as we speak, and they're down there taking the trees and,
Sure. Okay. And then Basically, after some action items that we'd have to do is address the fencing work with Shank right after we hear notice of the grant. So that's kind of been something that I've been working with facilities on to maybe get a couple extra hands. They're on board. We've had a meeting back in May with Danny and Tom, our groundskeepers, and a couple of facilities members, and kind of discussed everything on what we do if we do find out we got the grant. So we'll see kind of how that all plays out, and crossing my fingers for next month that we do get this grant and we're able to proceed with something that's going to be pretty cool for the park. And then rodeo update, we did have quite a few people out at the park on Friday. Most people I've seen, completely packed the first 2 rows basically with cars, and they attracted a very large crowd, and the park housed it well, I'd say. And they've got a good security team kind of walking around, and that plays a big hand in an event of that size. So that's what I kind of told him. I was impressed with how he managed the parking with a few more campers in the campground. And then I was impressed with the fact that the security was very active, walking around and kind of keeping things in check. So with those 2 things, like, I mean, it's a great event for the park and for the Hispanic community and Independence in Arcadia, so.
You had a head count, an actual number of people attending?
I didn't have an exact count, but based on just the sheer number of people that were there and 600 being the average last year, I'd say it was probably up around 800. There was a lot of people there. I've never seen so many cars
an
parked.
additional Hispanic celebration coming up at Petrick Park then for the
Yep, so they'll
Mexican-
have another 13th and the 4th.
But do they have one that's not a rodeo that's coming up, that's a celebration of Mexican Independence Day?
They could maybe have something at the Claw Shelter.
Okay, because
but-
I was looking and it said Petrick Park, and I was just curious as far as when I looked, it was Rocio had it announced, and so I was just double checking if it was something that was a rodeo or if it was something else. That's a
Right, they
different
might have
celebration.
themes around these, but you've seen it on, kind of on the Facebook. They
Yes.
get a lot of word of mouth on their private groups and whatnot, so, didn't necessarily see like what the theme was gonna be. But yeah, I mean, they do get the word out and they do whatever they
well.
can to get people there.
Yeah, it's huge on how much they PR it.
But yeah, I attached a bow hunter's permit to your guys' packet. Just wanted to make clear that that is only has to be, kind of went through this a little bit in the early year or later in the year last year. Basically, Matt McFarland can only hunt the 29.5 acres that is across the river and no one can access at Petrick Park. And has to use bow, it's kind of clearly stated, and has to access it by watercraft. I've tried to cross the river in waders, and you get to that lower loop, and there is kind of a deeper hole. So I wanted to make sure he's using a safe way to get across to that if he decides he wants to hunt, that 29.5 acres. He can, just as long as I kind of sign off on it and I see that we can check some of the things on this application here. So, does anyone have any questions about that? If we can forward it over to Matt. Okay. And then you guys did want to see some quality improvement planning / pricing for Ashley last meeting. I'll go ahead and share kind of the list that I've drafted for quality improvements for next year. I'll send that via email to the committee, and then attached to your packet was our pricing plan for next year's weekly reservations. So basically, we're fully occupied pretty much 4 to 5 days. So the weekly reservation does make sense for us, even though it's not, typical practice. People are used to 3 or 4 days, but we want to clear up our messaging basically, and the people that do want to drop their campers off early, have that ability, and we had about 15 to 30 campers dropped off this year, so I think that will get a little bit more popular, even though it's not the typical thing that we've offered the last 7-8 years on the 3-day type weekend thing. But we do have to think about our operations and being way busier than we typically are in a 4 to 5 day period. This is kind of our way to manage that and clear up our messaging saying, hey, this is what we're doing going forward. We're going to kind of keep prices where they are this year and go from there. That should do it for the park report. Any questions?
Looks like none, Jack. As far as outdoor rec priorities, anything additional on that as far as to go along with the park?
Just working through budget, CIP, and Lexi and I are kind of working together when it comes to parks marketing. So that's been good to have our kind of initial conversation. Started meeting bi-weekly, so I think we're progressing at a good rate. And then park fundraising, mainly looking at our purchasing policy and donation policies and how can we figure that aspect out going forward. So trying to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. And then campground operations, special event procedures, going through that with those guys. And then I've updated kind of the park online presence. I saw Lexi put out something recently, something online with tourism, I believe it was. So we are trying to work on how we're portraying ourselves when it comes to outdoor recreation and our park online and trying to keep that updated. And then lastly, we did have half of a snowmobile project get funded. So that kind of throws a hiccup in the plan. We wanted to replace a full bridge outside of Osseo on County NN, and then that was $74,000. So only got 37 of that. So kind of have to think about how we proceed now, maybe putting out a bid to redeck the bridge and an amendment with the DNR to maybe go that route. But we can also keep the money, and it's eligible for 3-year span.
Is that bridge on the Buffalo River Trail?
It's adjacent to it. So it actually leads right out of town, and I tried to apply for ATV funding because it's our only, like little ATV route that the Dusters maintain, snow dusters, or Dusty Riders out of Osseo. It's a private club. Met with one of those guys when we met about the bridge with Bob and another Snowdrifters member. And yeah, there is a half mile that leads behind the football field in Osseo there. And it's kind of been maintained by itself without state recognition for decades. So trying to see if we can't get that funded. And then we got to the end of the ATV meeting, and all the big counties and all the northern counties got all the ATV funds. So there was like $6.5 million that got proposed, and then only like $3.5 million got funded. So, they ran out of ATV money towards the end of that, so we didn't get that. But we did get that half from Snowmobile. So I meet with those guys again, the associated clubs, on September 9th. So I'll kind of go with it. Just kind of let them know what happened. We'll make a group decision that works for everybody. But yeah, I'm kind of favoring the redecking. The substructure was in decent enough shape. So I'm kind of favoring the redecking option of the bridge, and seeing it, we got a quote last year for $46,000, and seeing if we can't find somebody in the area to do it for $9,000 less. I think we could figure something out, but we'll let that be a group decision with Snowmobile.
All right, seeing that's completed as far as the outdoor rec priorities, Jack, it looks like on number 11, we have Connect Parks presentation with special guest Lisa Banker. I'll let you introduce her, Jack, so that we have Lisa available.
Yeah, so Lisa and I have been kind of talking for, it seems like almost even over a year. I recently reached out in 24, let's see here, like started in April to May. Reached out to a few different reservation people, Civic Rec Track, and Connect Parks, and basically Connect offered us the best in-person and most related with counties around us that are using it, and the camping aspect of things. They seem to put more emphasis into the camping, and really that's what Petrick Park is going to be about now and moving forward, is making sure customers have a seamless transition if we are moving reservation systems. So have been in talks with Lisa for a great while and have liked the way things have progressed. And can see myself, making this change and it being a better long-term outcome for Trempealeau County when it comes to the reservation process for campers, and if we're getting more popular, how it all looks online, and then the customer service / reporting basis of everything. Really liked what I've heard from Connect. So I'll open up the floor to Lisa. I think she's got a say a couple things on like an overview wise and why a transition from CampSpot to Connect is something that we should be interested in. So
Great. Well, good morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate being able to join virtually today. I usually like to be there in person, but today's the first day of school for my oldest, so I wanted to be here. So Connect Parks is actually based out of Green Bay. I work with about 20 plus different counties across Wisconsin and the UP, putting together this system that is it's kind of, there's a base, but we actually really work very hard to ensure that we are able to customize things for each of our individual clients as much as possible. So Connect Parks it's designed for maximum flexibility. The whole goal is to give Trempealeau County as many opportunities to do things on their own rather than having to pay us to make modifications and things of that sort. So we start off with a base package that allows you to do almost everything you need to do in terms of users being able to make their own reservations, admins being able to make reservations, edit and cancel reservations on the admin side. The system also sells permits. It does pavilion rentals as necessary. And that base package, like I said, accomplishes all of those things, but then the system is able to scale quite large in terms of different add-ons and options and things that you can do. So I've got counties that are using just the ordinary the ordinary base package, and I have others that have the ability to communicate via email or text to whomever's in the park, interactive mapping, all kinds of those things. So I guess I'm trying to kind of keep this short for you. I don't know how in depth you want me to go because quite frankly, I could talk about this for hours. This is kind of my baby. I developed this with Oconto County and Marinette County more than 15 years ago, I think. The biggest thing to be aware of in this case is that the system offers lifetime training. It's a one-time cost for everything, and we're able to do retraining really at no cost. So I guess I want to open the floor to questions. I've got some feelings on CampSpot. To be quite honest with you, I have not worked with it. I think the biggest difference with CampSpot and Connect Parks is that we're a one-time cost. So we don't take any fees. We don't take any portion of your refund or of your revenue. We make it nice and simple in that way. So I guess I'll open the floor to questions. I can certainly continue to expand as need to.
Well, I have a few.
Take the next left onto Main Street, then you will arrive at your destination.
Lori's got a couple of questions.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I can shut this thing off.
Great, thanks. So what is the one-time cost? Did you cover that already?
Sure, I really didn't. So the one-time cost for the base package is $12,000. The only additional ongoing costs for that would be if you decide you want to continue to host with us. It's an option, although I will tell you that all but one county hosts with us, and Oconto County is actually moving to host with us right now. So that allows us to ensure that the site is up and running. Our techs can access it at any point, and they can make sure that that everything is up and running at all times.
Okay, what is the
There's
cost?
no.
What is the cost to host it? What is the
The
hosting
hosting,
cost?
yes, the hosting, if you decide to host with us, is $1,900 a year. So it's $150 a month. And then there's a $100 security certificate just to keep the site free from hackers and things of that sort. What that gets you is 99.9% uptime. It gets you, personalized support from me. I actually work directly with all of our clients. And then it gets you, again, statistics and those kinds of things that you get from hosting standpoint.
Okay, great. And then do you have a marketing component to it?
It can be. So the base package is really just for camping reservations. The marketing component, there is an option to add, again, kind of a email communication type thing where I can communicate with anyone who's previously camped with us, anyone who's going to be camping with us, and you can do it from a marketing standpoint. The base package also has a promo code type system where you can put together discounts. So I could say, the first 100 reservations this year gets $5 off of their reservation, those kinds of things. So you can utilize that for marketing as well. We don't dip into the social media aspect, although that is one of the services our company provides, just not part of Connect Parks. But of course, we could certainly work to ensure that the design of the site meshes with the design of any other marketing or the county site as it is.
Okay. And then the credit card processing fee, and who do you have to go through?
Sure. So the credit card processing fee, we work with a variety of different vendors. So the county would choose who they want to work with. Companies like Point and Pay, Authorize.net, PayPal, Square, MSB, lots of different companies. So we work with your accounting department or treasurer to determine exactly what they want to use for credit card processing. And then from our perspective, we simply integrate with it. We don't actually touch your merchant account or anything of that sort. So the vendor would provide us with API and transaction keys, which we use to communicate with them. But the money goes directly into your account.
So you charge it on your end and the money goes, so we work with the credit card processor solely, correct?
Correct. So the users who are making a reservation would enter their credit card information. We'd send it in an encrypted and secure manner over to the credit card processor where
Sure.
they actually do the charge and then deposit the money. So we're only communicating with them, not your bank account.
Okay. And then dynamic pricing, do you do any of that at all?
In terms of the prices for the campsites themselves, the reservations themselves? Yes. So the system will allow Jack and his team to determine how much each of the sites should cost, and that can vary from time of the year. It could vary if you wanted to charge something large or higher for Ashley, you'd be able to control all of those things. That's all part and parcel of what he can do. The system even works so that if committee decides to change pricing a couple years down the road, he can change pricing in anticipation of that. So when the when the actual transition occurs, it's just completely seamless and people will be charged the new rates. So that's completely in his control. As part of my process, I would actually physically come out and train him and his team as to how to use the system and how to do all of those things. So there's a lot less guesswork that would be involved. I am also developing a full-on manual to have, but my training process is for the lifetime of our relationship. So if there's new employees or seasonal employees that come on, I'll either come out or do a Zoom call with those employees to make sure that they're comfortable and understand how the system works. There's no charge for that.
Sure. So, but you don't have dynamic pricing, so the system doesn't create the dynamic pricing. In other words, if you're 90% full, or whatever percent you put in, it doesn't trigger automatically to go to the higher price.
Correct. We don't use surge pricing, mostly because typically the counties and the committees we work with have set pricing. I've actually never encountered a county that allows for surge pricing, but it is something we could certainly look at building into the system. That's another thing that that I like to point out is the system has grown organically over the years with the feedback from the counties saying, hey, we would love to have this type of a function, and then we could look at implementing it. So I, on a annual, semi-annual basis, send updates to all of the counties as to these are features, fixes, things that we've added, and then here are new add-on options that have been created that they can choose to add into their system. We do ensure that the system is constantly being reviewed for any bugs or issues, and if one county points out something that's problematic, we'll get it fixed across the board without you having to come to us for that.
Okay, wonderful. And then what types of reporting would we expect to see?
So the system, again, base package reporting would include information on, obviously all the reservations that have come in. So you can have park managers pull reservations for upcoming weekends or time periods. They can see all of the information that's associated with that. We do have what we call a reconciliation report, which is typically used by the treasurer or the accounting types to determine how much money has come in. They can utilize that to do a reconciliation against what the credit card company says they've collected to make sure that those mesh and identify any mismatches if there are any. We have an occupancy report that can easily generate the amount of nights that a particular campsite or campground have been filled during any period of time you're looking at. And then, of course, we have availability reporting that will allow you to, at a glance, see what's available, what's open, and then the administrators, if they so need to, can begin making a reservation for someone. So if you have someone who perhaps does not have a credit card or is not comfortable or technically savvy, the Parks Department can assist them with making their reservation and take payment in other manner than credit cards as well if they need to. That's only from an administrator standpoint, though.
Okay, all right, sounds good. And you speak about like the 12,000 being the base rate. What's the next level up, and what are we missing from that level compared to the first level?
Sure. So it actually doesn't work on a level standpoint. It works kind of like an a la carte Chinese menu where you can look at something and say, this is something that I think would be valuable to the county and increase revenue or increase user experience, and then add those on an ad hoc basis. So those prices vary from, a few $100s for, an availability module that the users can use that would show them availability across the park rather than just, on a particular site for, a period of time, to things like a point of sale system that runs between 10 to 15,000. There's, interactive mapping. So I've worked with Jack a little bit to kind of identify things that I think would be helpful as the planning process goes on. But that $12,000 base package is going to get you all of the important things, user-related purchases and reservations, the reporting I discussed, the ability for the administrators to keep track of things. The administrators can add all of the locations and site information on their own and change that up as they need to. Pricing is completely controlled under that base package. So my goal is to ensure that even if you purchase nothing else from me, you have a completely functional system. A good example of a site to look at that's running on just the base package right now would be Iron County, Michigan. They rolled out their system about a year and a half ago, I think. And they started off, very basic, and they're looking at adding some enhancements as budget and need dictates. So that's something that you can kind of continue to grow as you see fit as a committee.
Okay. And I would assume that Jack has all the details of exactly what's included in the base
does,
price,
yeah.
and then the add-ons as well?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yes. And to be very frank about the add-ons, I have not adjusted the pricing on any of my add-ons for a very, very long time, and I don't anticipate doing so. So it's very fair to look at those add-ons and say, year 2, year 3, these are things we want to budget for or plan for and be comfortable with what that cost would be.
Wonderful. Okay, that's all the questions I have. It was a lot, but.
Great questions, Lonnie. Great.
Very good, Lisa. I was wondering if you could just share your screen and maybe run through maybe Wisconsin County, or you mentioned Iron County, and just kind of so they can see a visual of what it might look like if we went to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just pull that up really quick. I actually do have Iron County up because I know we were talking about beginning with the base package. So I thought I could begin showing that to you. I can certainly move and show you some of the other counties as well. In fact, surrounding Trempealeau, we've got Eau Claire and Jackson that we work with. And then of course, north, and we're actually really all over the entirety of central and northern Wisconsin. I think the furthest south we go would be Washington County at the moment. But so this is Iron County. This is the front end of their site. You can see these right here are alerts that you're able to add. So if there is, a storm and there's some trees down and there are some sites that are unavailable, you can make note of that. If we have plans of logging ahead of time, you can certainly make note of that. If there's a highway out and we need to tell somebody where to go, that's what these alerts would allow you to do. For Pentoga Park and for Iron County, they actually only have this one park. So Pentoga Park is how we branded it. But we work with you directly to say, what do you want this to look like? Are there, is Trempealeau County very forested? Are there lakes? What are you known for? How do we want to convey, the system to people who are looking at it? So in this case, you can see I've got a map right here. I can do a very quick campsite search. So if I'm looking to camp this coming weekend, I can plug a date in there and just do a very quick search, which will slowly, sorry, I'm on Zoom. Okay, so it'll pull up some sites. Now, Iron County has not gone as far as most of my counties have, where they can include an actual image of the campsite, more information. So they've gone very, very, very basic on this. I'm going to pop over to Fond du Lac County just because they have theirs populated a little bit better. They do have quite a few add-ons, so I'm going to kind of steer clear of showing you what some of those are, just to avoid confusion. Other than this one right here, this is their interactive map, and that is an add-on. It's probably our most popular one. But in this case, I can say, these are the various things I'm looking for. So if I need a particular amperage or if I'm looking for a pull-through site, I can begin to designate all of those things ahead of time, which ensures that the user who is coming to a park that they may not be familiar with will not end up at a site that doesn't work for them. And that actually comes from a personal story. I went to a campsite. This is years ago before I even had children, and my husband and I were tent camping. And somehow we ended up on a site that had very sharp gravel. And there was no place else to set up the tent. So we had a horrific weekend trying to keep from our tent having holes punched in it, and also trying to sleep on that gravel. So my goal with this whole concept is to kind of take those personal experiences and figure out what those end users would be able to do to make it better for them. So in this case, you can see here, I can, answer a variety of questions. Those questions are controlled by Jack. That's part of the base. And so then you can see here, I'm looking at basic information, the amperage for this particular site. I can take and look at a picture of it and pop it open bigger. So it'll show me where the trees are, where the fire pit is, and I can make sure on my own that my camping vehicle would work in this particular site before I even begin making the reservation. So you can see in this case, again, they've got some baseline information. And that's something that I've noticed a lot of my parks kind of grow. So to get the site up and running, they might just start off with some basic information about the sites and a picture. And then as time goes on, or more information becomes available, they start adding in more info for each of the individual sites. What I like about this site, or this system versus CampSpot, is you are always booking the exact site that you get. I know with Campsite, you can select a site, or CampSpot, you can select a site, but that may change according to what they say. So I don't know how prevalent that actually is, but in this case, if I book campsite number 3, I get campsite number 3. So if I click book now, it's going to ask me a series of additional questions. And again, these are controlled by the administrator. So this is the information that I, as a park manager, would want to know when someone's coming into my park. Who's going to be on the site? What's their car license plate? Are they even going to need firewood? So this is, again, another base piece. Fond du Lac has it set up so I can purchase firewood ahead of time and pay for it with my credit card. And then when I check in, I can just pick it up and go. So you can do that with a variety of things, like an extra camping vehicle, extra car, extra person. Perhaps they need to use the dump site. There's all kinds of things that you can do to charge additional fees rather than having to do it right at the park. I do need to type in a couple quick things here. This is my favorite piece, and those of you who are familiar with camping with lots of different people may appreciate this as much as I do. So this is my what I like to call my CYA clause. So in order for me to make this reservation, I have to agree to whatever policies have been posted here. So it's typically the campground rules. That means that, if I'm up super late and 3 o'clock, I'm blasting music, I don't have the ability to say, why are you kicking me out in the morning? Because I agreed to all the terms and conditions. So this just kind of gives those park managers a leg to stand on if there are problem campers. But, oops, I missed one. So if I continue forward with the reservation, this is the point where the clock starts ticking. Kind of like when you're purchasing tickets for a concert, we want to make sure that we don't have someone who's squatting on a site for an indefinite amount of time. So we set it up so they have a 15-minute period to complete their reservation. That's more than enough time. If someone continues to add more reservations, maybe I'm planning my entire summer out, that clock will kind of restart. So we're not going to reach a point where I'm now finally ready to check out and oops, my clock is up. So we're forgiving in that way. We want to make sure, especially with high traffic times, we're not giving somebody the ability to pick all the best sites and then not complete the reservation until they've called all their friends or know, who's available and who's not. It kind of keeps things more equitable. You can see in this case, there is the ability here to see what are the dates I booked, how much is it. You can add that reservation fee, which usually covers your overhead, like your camping credit card fees and things of that sort. I can, edit my reservation or remove my reservation and then just kind of keep moving forward. Each of the people who use the site are asked to set up an account. I will say that we do have a guest account option, but most counties have moved away from that because they do want to have a better understanding of people's trajectory and how often they're camping, when they're camping, where they're camping. So they have those accounts. In this case, I can set one up. I can log into an existing one, and I'm going to.
Excuse me, Lisa, so a guest can't set up an account under a guest account, correct?
We could, if you want to do that, it's just a matter of me activating something and it is part of the base package. So it's just most don't do that any longer. So
Well,
that's
we wouldn't
totally
want to
your
do
call.
it because the sheriff wouldn't like it. They need to know, they need to know who's in the park at all times. You have to provide a report, so.
Correct. So getting away from those guest accounts helps with that. So you can see in this case, I'm logging into the account that I created years ago. I can verify my address information. That way I don't have to retype it every single time. I can continue on forward. And again, you can see this is where I make my payments. So from a user at home, from their perspective, they're always paying with their credit card, which means that you never have a situation where a campsite is reserved, but payment has not been collected unless an administrator has specifically allowed for that. So this is the point where I'll need to stop because obviously I'm not going to make this reservation. But you also have the ability to do those promo codes. I mentioned those before. So the promo codes can be 3 different types. It could be, fixed amount off, like that $5 off. It could be 10% off your reservation. But what happens more often is it's used as kind of a store credit. So if someone makes a cancellation, rather than giving them their money directly back on the credit card, you have the option to say, okay, I'm going to give you a credit code, store code that you can use in your next reservation. It helps with a variety of things. Number one, it makes the accounting way easier because the money's only coming in and not going out. And number two, it helps to ensure that people aren't utilizing the system in not a fraudulent way, but I guess not in a very nice way. So for instance, we ran into this specifically with Fond du Lac quite a bit. People would make a bunch of reservations and then they just cancel whatever they didn't want, or if the weather wasn't good, so I'd cancel it off, and they'd always just get their money back on their credit card. So getting the promo code serves to ensure that you're really actually getting reservations that people want to make rather than, squatting on sites for them. You can determine, again, in the base package, you determine what those refund amounts would be. So if you as a committee say, if somebody cancels 30 days in advance, we're going to give them all their money back except for the credit card, fee, the reservation fee that we charge them, that $5. You can do that. You can then say if it's 7 days or more, between 7 and 30, we'll give them half their money back. If it's less than 7, we're going to give you nothing back. You control all of those, and it can vary from park to park. It can be different for a pavilion rather than a campsite. So there's lots of control in that. I do have some counties, and I'll mention this add-on because Washington County is doing this, and I believe Fond du Lac County is doing this now too. They're also utilizing this promo code option to give discounts to veterans or senior citizens or something of that sort. The problem we've always run into with that is how do you prove online that you are who you say you are? So what they've done is they've set it up where if I want that veterans discount, I have to come into the park office, prove that I am a veteran, and then their account gets flagged as such, so they can then use a code to get their veterans discount. But if you know my friend gets that same code, but they're not flagged as a veteran, they could plug it in, but they're never going to be able to use it. So it allows for that verification of who they are, essentially. So that's the front end of things. Would you like to see some of the back end tools quick, or anything in particular you'd like to see?
I think.
All right, I'll just highlights.
Yeah, back end sounds good.
Sure. So I'm logged in as a master level administrator right now. And that's one thing that Jack will be able to do is say, you know, these people have access only to these elements of the site, whereas, you know, others have access to different ones. So if you had a park manager at 2 different locations, they're 2 different people, you can set it up so each of those managers only sees what they're responsible for. They don't have the ability to delve into the reservations elsewhere. Some of the tools that are in here, I'll show you the locations one really quickly. So the idea here is to make it very fill in the blank. So if I come in here, I'm going to look at Columbia Park Camping. The add is the same process as the edit. But if I come in here, I'm going to see a series of questions that I'm going to answer. What's the name of the park? You know, I want to upload a photo. It's like adding an attachment to email. Fond du Lac has the ability to have multiple photos. That is an add-on. I can upload a campground map. That would be the beginning of that interactive mapping if you were to select to do that. I can have location information. Back when I started this, especially in the northern Wisconsin areas, Google didn't always understand where a location was. So we created multiple ways to add location information. It could literally be the area, you know, turn right at the, you know, at the Baptist church on the corner of whatever. You could actually put in a display address, which is typically more of a mailing address. And if for some reason Google doesn't render that address properly, you can put in a Google Map address, literally down to the point of latitude, longitude. And then I have my last result or last, you know, resort, which is an alternate image where you can actually upload a map image if you needed to. Google's gotten infinitely better at that. So typically the display address is enough, but it's good to have, you know, a little flexibility just in case Google's not properly rendering where that park is. Check-in, check-out times. I can set up reservation instructions to tell them what they need to have. A lot of times it's don't forget to have your credit card, or you're going to get 15 minutes to complete this transaction. Cancellation policies live here. So when I first log in and start my reservation, I'm going to see the reservation instructions. And at the very last step, when I'm ready to book now, I'm going to see the cancellation policy, or the ability to look at the cancellation policy. I'm going to skip a couple of these things because they're add-ons. This is my location rules where I upload that PDF. I can set maximums and minimums. You can determine how you want to have, so this is actually important. You as a committee can determine how you want to have the reservation availability role. So same year booking, which is what Fond du Lac does, says that if I want to camp in 2025, I need to make my reservation in 2025. If I want to camp in 2026, I have to wait until January 1st of 2026 in order to make the reservation. I have others that do kind of a rolling reservation concept where they can say you can book 365 days in advance. So if I camp this weekend, I can book September 5th next year, as you know, as soon as I reach that point. Those dates you'd be able to set on your own. We can set minimum advance booking, which tends to be important if you need to get information out to somebody who's doing check-ins at a park. So again, in the, you know, when this first started, Oconto County needed to have at least 3 days to print off who was coming in and physically get it to the park. Now with better internet connection, they don't really need that as much. So a lot of the parks have brought that down a little bit. But this ensures if you have a minimum advance booking that you can, if you want to, do same day booking and do, you know, on-site booking if you wanted to. So if I come into a park and I see all the sites that are already reserved, I can then make a reservation at the park and say, okay, I want to park on this site because it's available for me. So again, there's a lot of nuances there. Minimum, maximum stays, reservation fees, taxable or non-taxable. You can determine whether or not we want to charge tax on top, or if we're just pulling it out, or if it's a non-taxable at all. these are the reservation questions I talked about. So they kind of build up a whole, there's so much stuff I know and I could talk forever, but they build up a whole library of different questions that could be asked when someone's checking in, descriptions and whatever else. So again, this is one of the reasons why I like to do at least my first round of training in person, because we can go through really slow and we actually do some of the populating right at that same time. But like I said, it's very fill in the blank from there. If I wanted to look at the actual reservations, I can come in and you can see, because Fond du Lac has same year reservations, they're actually rather low right now. But they've got 219 reservations that are still coming in the course of the rest of the summer. So you can see in this case, let me find a good park camping one. I'm going to click in and actually view all the details. So, I can see that they're not yet checked in. I can see who it is. Oh, this guy's coming from Georgia. That's interesting. He used a promo code. I can see how he paid. I can see how he answered all of these questions. And this is pretty typical of something that you might be looking at as a park manager. I can say, show me only this particular location for this date range. And it's going to show me everyone that I could expect to be in the park. So if Sheriff is doing that, we can create an account for them to look at just this report so they can always easily identify who should be there and who should not be there. When the checkout date passes, the reservation will automatically move to a completed tab. So you're only going to see on this initial tab, you're only going to see people who are either in the park or coming to the park in a future date. The reconciliation report, where is it? Reconciliation report. You can see in this case, I can look for just certain payment types. If I just want to see who paid via credit card, I can select Visa and MasterCard. They've got a Discover as well. I can look at the exact item that's being purchased and narrow it down that way. Or I can simply say, just show me all the transactions. And in this case, it's transactions that have occurred just today. Fond du Lac has so much volume that they've opted to have just starting off with today's transactions. But what they can do then is back it up and say, show me everything for the past, month. And then it will regenerate that report and show me all the transactions. The important piece on this from an accounting standpoint is the transaction number. So this would match up with a transaction number that's at the credit card processor. The last thing I'll show you super quick is my reservations report, which has the availability and the occupancy piece. So I can say I'll back myself up to August again. So I can say for this date range, I want to see for just Columbia Park, for all campsites, show me what's available, what was available. So in this case, I can come down here and I can see B is the beginning of a campsite. I can click on this and see who was on the site at that date. I can see that these were open dates. If there's an X, it just means it's a continuation of a reservation. You can see the one that's highlighted here. This means this person's actually in the park as we speak. They actually don't have a whole lot of people since it's the week during the week, I suppose. But right now there's one person in the park. If I wanted to look at occupancy during the same period of time, I simply change that. Again, I can see occupancy for the entirety of the campground. And all it's going to do is say, okay, in that time period I selected, there were 32 total nights. And here are the amount of nights that campsite or campground in general was full. So you can get down to percentages for that as well if you're curious. I find that really helpful to determine which sites are the most popular, which ones aren't. And a lot of times it gives you the insight to say, okay, why is site number 17 so sparsely populated? Oh, okay, it's right next to the dump station. That might be why people aren't really liking that site all that much. Maybe we should think about making modifications or something. And then, of course, like I said, there's a ton of other tools, but I won't bore you with all the details unless there's something specific you'd like to see.
I'm good.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. I appreciate you being attending online, and we'll see if things come to be. But we'll read the resolution now if we're fine with moving on to the next item.
Oh, I have some questions before we
Okay,
go
sure,
into
absolutely.
that. First of all, what are your current frustrations with CampSpot?
Oh,
Sorry, that's for.
is it
Go
for
ahead,
Lisa
sorry.
or for me?
For you.
Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, basically, the customer service, I really like the thought of it being in person, being able to have a relationship with somebody, that does play a big factor, in trying to decide on this system versus CampSpot.
The,
Also, the reporting basis and you see how how the transition between this system can go into a tourism site versus CampSpot. Just the colors for CampSpot don't really match up with what we're trying to do. We can customize all that to be into our tourism site, so where it doesn't look like it's not
Right.
something that we're trying to promote with our new color scheme in tourism.
yep, and that's what you can do with any, I mean, you can do it with CamSpot, you could do it with any of the 10 other ones that are free. So, I mean, so that wouldn't, I don't think, be a issue.
It's also, we got to the point with the security of it. Basically, we had somebody come in January, reserve 40-some campsites with our credit card provider and couldn't ever get a solid answer from CampSpot. So I really think we're getting what we pay for annually when it comes to CampSpot. I think it's like $1,200-1,300. This will have a one-time fee, and basically
$12,
it's
yeah.
something that we can build on in years to come based on how we grow.
How many campsites total do we have?
39, but 40
Oh, my
with
goodness, yeah.
the horse arena side, if we
Yeah.
can.
That's a
that.
really low number, Jack, to have such a robust reservation system. You know, you have, and don't get me wrong, we use CampSpot. Do I think they're the best? 100% no. You know, there's lots of other ones out there. I had recommended when we first started getting some kind of a reservation system, which is necessary. Doing an online thing is definitely necessary, but there's 10 or 12 of them that are out there. I think the training part is definitely important, or understanding the background of that, because it can really do a lot more, specifically in the marketing. It actually does have a very robust marketing piece that they provide at no cost, and that just advertises to the United States. So CampSpot does, yes. And so I think some of it is just, it takes a long time to learn any kind of software and really maximize it. I'm sure Lisa would agree with the same thing. It takes time to understand all of that. You know, some of my concerns here would be the hosting price, to be honest with you, is crazy money. That's a lot. And I think that I'd love to see more about, you know, what does a base package actually include, and then what are all those add-ons? Because that would be something that would concern me a bit. The reporting is, you have all the reporting. You already have all of that. There's nothing new here at all, unless you can help me understand what's new. But there is nothing new that I can see. You're looking at about $300 a site to kind of spread that over. So what are you looking at for a reservation fee for that customer to pay?
Based on from the transition from CampSpot to here?
Or are you not even thinking about that, Jack?
Well, just because, the park, we do have money in our capital outlay for this type of thing within our budget.
You know, and I get that part, but I think just because we have it in our budget doesn't mean we should spend it.
No, I agree with you there,
Yeah,
but.
so let's just talk about, like, what was your thought process on a reservation fee? You have one now that the customer pays, correct? Mm-hmm. So would you not have one then with this system? Would you have one?
I mean, we would still charge people to camp, yes.
No. The reservation fee. So my site costs $25 and my reservation fee is what? I mean, you have one now. What is that?
I mean, we're just taking sales tax and state tax out. And then we have a certain number for each, designated for each type of camping. I mean, we could probably
sure?
have a separate conversation and we could better understand what you
Yeah,
need to see and what.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be comfortable moving forward at this point at all. Just because I think we should, take a look at some things. You're gonna have those credit card fees are like nothing to mess with. Those are expensive,
Is there upgrade costs too, to the base charge down the road?
Sure. I mean, there's going to be, that hosting charge is part of kind of some things, and I'm assuming that at some point, there's going to be some sort of a fee for that, for upgrading the system itself.
What's your reservation fee over with Champions?
Ours is based, it's a percentage of whatever they use. So if it's lodging or the site or whatever, but it is a percentage and the customer pays that. We don't pay it, the customer does. So, and that's
May I
what.
chime in?
Sure.
Sorry. Typically, of the reservation fee is, I've had clients that are anywhere from $5 to $10 per reservation is usually what they add on. I prefer like that 5, but most of the counties are using 10, and that's per reservation, per camping time. So if I were to make 3 reservations in one transaction and it were $10 per, it would be $30.
Right.
That's
and you'd
variable.
Have to be about $15, between 13 and 15.
And I think we do have it 5, now that I'm thinking about it. We have a
I'm sure
registration
you do.
fee is
Yeah,
5
you would have
within
something in there for sure. And the sales tax, obviously, we have to pay sales tax on, it's an entrance fee. So anything that is an entrance fee, you pay sales tax on. So I would just say that maybe it's going to take a little bit more for me personally, just to understand, are we using everything that we should be using? And I get that every other county is using it. And I always say, so what? Because I hate the whole thing of, and this might just be me, so don't let me influence you here, but I hate the copy and paste thing to where another county's doing it, so let's just go ahead and do it. And I get that lots of counties are doing this, so it definitely makes sense. Lisa, do you do this in anything like in the private sector at all?
I have not ventured into the private sector, although we've talked about going that route, mostly because of kind of some of the things you've mentioned in terms of the private sector doesn't always have the ability to do a one-time larger chunk. They're more so looking for kind of an installment payment. And we haven't really gone down that route because our focus has been so much more based in counties. Because they're looking for something that doesn't have that long tail continuing cost. And I do want to clarify as well, the hosting cost, if IT and Trempealeau wants to host the site themselves, that is absolutely their prerogative. So that's not something that you're beholden to.
Yep. Okay.
So it almost sounds like more, like it would be maybe helpful, because I'm wondering if it would be helpful for Jack to work with yourself or someone from your team and knowing like what are all the capabilities of CampSpot? And like a list of what Jack is feeling like he's not getting from that right now, and then
Right.
to see if that site would actually give it to.
And I do get it, Jack, there is, and I'm certain Lisa's, totally different, but there's always customer service issues and concerns with software companies, because the problem is, the crap happens on the weekend, and nobody's there on the weekend most of the time. So I get that, and I totally understand it. I just think whatever system that we got, we should be really using it as robustly as we can. And for 36 sites, it's a lot of reservation system for 36 sites. And I think that Lexi should be like totally involved with this, because the marketing piece that you can do is all about filling those sites. You know, they don't just, and I'm nothing against our website, but they're not jumping onto Trempealeau County's website to book a campsite. They're just not. But for one thing, by the time they find it, camping season would be over. So I think it would be difficult to make that work. And I might, you know, I don't want to be talking out of school here, but I just think we need a little bit more information. We need to make sure that we're comfortable with what you need, Jack, and what will be most effective for you. I know that right now we can do every one of those reports that we were just talking about. And I would assume that we're already using the pictures and the diameters of each site and that type of thing. Those are all things that are free and go with the campsite or the camp spot that you use. And there are, like I said, there is actually, and I know this because I just did a little thing for it, but there's, 59 different reservation companies in the private sector that you can at least take a look at that are free. I feel like we should be comparing this instead of just going into one thing. That's my 2 cents. Okay, maybe 2.5 cents.
Okay. So you had asked, like, what are some things that CampSpot can't do that we can't do? I know it can't offer programming. I've asked CampSpot about that. There's an add-on option for that. And then I'd like to be able to display my special events that were becoming more of a priority at the park. We're going to be making
Why can't you do that?
Well, the reservation component of it, like, it doesn't, I liked Lisa when she went to Iron County, how it popped up right on the main page. I don't have that with CampSpot. Like,
'cause you
we've
don't
got a
know how to use
rodeo
it.
going on.
Yeah, it's in there, I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so much to it, Jack. You can't be expected to know it all. So please don't look at it, guys, like it's something that Jack didn't do his homework on, because that's not true at all. Any of these reservation systems, and I don't care if it's Lisa's or whoever's, any reservation system, it's going to take a bit to actually work with it and make it work dynamically with your wonderful new website. And I really think, guys, those are the areas we need to be sticking our dollars in. That website, I want to say sucks, but I know that's not the right thing to say. But it's very difficult for a consumer to use. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know, I think any of the other things, Jack, that you're struggling with, there's nothing that I heard here that we can't do with that, specifically the reporting. And for the love of God, for 39 sites, it's, it would be different if we had 400, but you have 39. And even if you filled every site every night for the whole season, you couldn't be profitable at 39 sites. So, so putting this kind of investment into this, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense. But that's me. So now what do we do?
There's things to think about aesthetically and security-wise with this system compared to CampSpot, but I can say we can, if we're fine with tabling it, that works.
Well, and I
works
mean,
with me.
the security-wise, they all got to be, every reservation system on the planet would not get sued. They have to have the security part of that.
But they're just being from county base, having the experience on the similar problems that other counties that Lisa's dealing with, it's going
I
to be
get it,
valuable
yep.
knowledge to have in the long term. But
Yeah, there definitely is that. I just think you have to just decide how much money do you want to put into 39 sites. So,
Next would be the
I get-
resolution on the agenda.
yes, so the resolution would be next on the agenda.
It sounded like we didn't want to read through that, or should we go
Well,
for a
that's just
vote?
me. I'm just one person. You know, so,
I believe it's probably a good idea to do a little bit more research.
I agree as well.
And I'm on the same boat, that we've got some things to investigate. Resolution as presented, you know, we can discuss it, but I don't think we can vote on it as of yet.
and I'm not saying it's a definite no, Jack. I just really think we need to
Oh,
consider
yeah.
everything.
I move that we table the resolution for now.
All right, do we have a second?
Yes, you need a
I'll
second.
second Galazinski.
Thanks, Jean.
Thanks, Jeannie. Okay, any discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that is tabled.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
so
your
much, Lisa,
presentation.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Thanks,
I
Lisa.
appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Okay, so the next topic is the construction of dual directional entrance signage at Petrick Park. I guess I have Oh, that's good. Look at you.
All right. So yeah, we have those two quotes that I presented. I didn't, or talked about last meeting. We did get formal quotes from both companies, and basically it's going to be between Lacrosse Sign and Stoneworks out of Holman, and we'll go forward with showing you some illustrations of both projects. And we did want to keep it under a certain pricing threshold, so I asked them to submit bids or quotes underneath the certain pricing threshold. So we are kind of confident in the two options that we got. They're both from kind of, one's an upstart company that has ties to the area and wants to get things going a little bit more with their company. And they just got a boulder done with Perot State Park. And then the other company is Lacrosse Sign, and you've probably seen their signs throughout the area everywhere. So very confident in the two quotes we got. And yeah, I don't have access to that packet right now. So Lexi, do you mind pulling that up? There's. Yeah, 7996, and then Lacrosse Sign came in at 9840.
And they are definitely two different appearances.
Real, definitely.
Yeah.
The Stoneworks just blends with the
Oh,
organic theme so
so
much
beautiful,
better. It's
yeah.
not a generic-
Which one?
The Stoneworks,
Yeah.
the second one on there, blends in with our attitude towards the natural playground.
Yes.
Into the valley, I mean, looking at Trempealeau area, I mean, that's,
How
I
soon,
do-
I have biases.
I do have a question about that sign, though. I mean, it looks really good, but how is it situated?
How do you see it from
How do you see it from the road? That was my
Yeah,
thought right
yep.
away.
So did you guys see the concrete pad when you guys were out at the park in mid-August? When you're coming in right in front of the typical brown sign that you see?
You mean on the highway?
No, right into the park entrance.
Inside the park.
Yep.
So
It's
it's going
to
to
the
be.
left.
It would
I think
be-
what Buzz and I are looking at is something that they can see. when
North
they
to
drive
south.
by.
When you're coming north
Yeah.
to south,
Yeah.
it would be kind of in the
It's off
center
to
of
the
that
left of the
pad,
drive.
and you'd be able to see it on the highway when you're
is
coming
it
in.
parallel to the road?
It's,
Or.
I guess it would be.
It's parallel to 93 perpendicular
Yeah,
to the driveway.
perpendicular. So you'd see it when you're kind of driving by. And that's the whole thing with the public notice,
Yeah, how
is
high?
we want it to be
Yeah.
dual directional and
Well-
people
So
kind
it's
of to see it.
or
It's 7
70
foot high.
Yeah, 7 foot.
Or
That's
6 foot, excuse me.
6 foot, right?
Yep,
Not very
72
high.
is 6 foot.
No.
when you're coming down the road, and
Right.
it really doesn't pick up the other attributes of the park of water-based access, a takeout point for canoeing, when the park is developed, the recreational aspect.
So basically, this this one that they proposed, I told them I'd want to work with them for some design tweaks. We want to promote the park a little bit more and probably take the county logo out of there. We really should be, sourcing Petrick Park, and what's being
Activates,
offered
yeah.
there. So like lacrosse sign, gave us some things with their design too.
That you can grab up.
Yeah, and like the amenity icon type thing, that's kind of what I'd want to see if we did some design tweaks. You really want to promote those
Yeah.
icons.
That was
Then
my
make
biggest
it
So they know
concern
what
is
they're
the
getting.
amenity. I mean, when people are looking, people who are tourists, they're used to seeing a sign like
Right.
Lacrosse Sign Company.
Mm-hmm.
And they know right away what's available and it's right there.
Yep.
The rock, I think, is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But does it give the information we need? And again, I'm concerned about the location.
Yeah.
I mean, again, how high can they get it? And it's parallel to the highway. It should be perpendicular to the highway.
Yeah, but then you can only see it coming one direction if it's
That's another
perpendicular.
drawback.
See, this
Exactly.
way they've got it to both directions as you go.
That's what I'm talking about, the visuality on the highway.
both ways.
With the Lacrosse Sign Company, you see it front and back. All the information is there, regardless of what direction you're going.
Absolutely.
But why, the Rockland itself, why can't that be set for both ways, so you can see both ways?
Then they'd have to print on the back
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
And what
And
would
the
that
support
cost?
would
They
have
could.
to be different on the back.
Yes, probably be. And I would think one of the things that you want to really probably promote is that canoeing aspect, just because it's a very needed thing in the community, and not every place is, I mean, they're so limited, really, of where, tourists can put in. So, I mean, maybe you could even take something like, that board back there could be a canoe or in the shape of a canoe or something like that, so that canoe part sticks out instantly. You see that right away. Because I think that's a big deal.
I mean, that was, the whole water trail thing has been a high priority for us for a few years now.
Yep.
We gotta promote it if we're gonna
Right.
get people to use it.
Oh, yeah, and it's needed. I mean, I bet we get, I can't even tell you the number of calls we get a day on that. And it's just, there's just not a great trail kind of thing. So that would be good if we could figure that out.
I'd like to see the natural play area featured
Yeah,
named as well.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, because that's a
We're
big
adding
thing
that.
too.
$500,000 investment, we better be.
Yeah, we better tell
Oh,
people
most
about it.
definitely, yeah.
Which
On the other
also-
side of the sign idea, though, one thing that they're doing, and you've seen the investment that the city of Arcadia has put into it
Yeah.
with their rock structures,
Yeah.
the medallions, you're kind of playing off, with that rock,
Right.
the background that, hey, this is part of the area. This is another great thing that you have a chance to see as you're traveling up 93, showing that, we're trying to blend in with everybody else. Teamwork approach, just another advocacy. I know what you're saying about the vision and
Yeah, and
the
that is
vision.
important, that's huge, but
And I have seen, I don't want to interrupt you,
No,
but
no,
I
no,
have
go ahead.
seen what you're talking about. It is a beautiful sign, but it is built up. I mean, drove by there, I don't know how many times while they were building it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine the cost of that. And I can't imagine the cost of printing the same thing on the back of that rock. Don't get me wrong, it's a
Right.
beautiful, I wish we could do both. I wish we could put that
Yeah, I was gonna
rock
say, if
by the
we
park.
Want them to come back, I mean, if we think the aesthetics are that important,
Oh, they are, yeah.
Perception is what we're dealing
Yeah.
with. This is a high-level park.
get it done.
We wanted
Take
included.
the cap off of it and say, the committee has been recommending that we wanna see a sign that showcases those attributes, but it's gotta have all those amenities built into it. Is that gonna cost us 15 grand then, or 20 grand? I don't know.
Right.
What will it be, yeah?
Signs
Since we have
aren't
a
cheap.
choice.
No.
And maybe what you should do is kind of prioritize for them, like, what are the big things that you want set? I would definitely think that natural playground, but for sure, the canoeing, because it's what you need in Trumbull County. And we have I mean, that's a customer base that has a need that we could fill.
And then that'll lead to more camping.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Richard's.
Buzz, you were talking about black locust earlier. is that something that down in Viroqua, they could design something too?
Oh,
Work with
sign,
them?
I have no idea. I just hopped on their website once and I just,
That'd be
knowing
interesting.
about black locust for years, I always wanted to play with it myself on decking or something. And
Are they a lumber company?
yeah, they're a lumber company and an outdoor recreation company. We've got to get more information if we want to look
Yeah.
into it. I have limited information and
I like your suggestion though, to take the cap off and get more information
I like
on
that
the
stone.
sign. I like the stone,
Because of
Yeah.
but I like the information that
it won't rot.
that
kind of stone was that
standard-
in?
The stone is beautiful.
Kevin,
All it said
that-
on the quote was Boulder.
I mean, if,
I'm not sure
was
what
that
the
a
stone
limestone
source was.
sign down at?
Yes, it's a pilage on each side of a dry stacked limestone that goes against it, and then there's,
Because I'm not familiar. No,
It's
and it's
worth
a,
it. It's
it's a
worth it to
brass
drive by and
medallion
look.
on
Yeah.
each sign, and it was designed by a local artist.
I've seen some limestone stuff.
Ben
that's
Golden is
gorgeous.
the designer
Yeah.
of
This is
it.
really
He's been
cool.
Yeah.
explaining it to me every chance that he gets as far as what it went in, and we want to blend the community together, is what it was put together with the
Well,
limestone.
if that's what thing we want to do, we should change the stone then too.
Well, you should drive by and see how it's built. I mean, I'm
But
curious as to what that
There's
must
two
have cost.
signs,
yeah.
one coming from the south, which is up on the ridge, and then the one that is below like Golden Plump where the feed mill is, it's across
down
from that.
there,
And so you can see either way.
Do you know who paid for that?
Yes, I do.
I think we probably all know who paid for that.
Yes, and
So,
we've
I mean, I
discussed
can
it many
just-
times.
Again, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but the question is, can we afford?
Do we want to afford it?
And
Do we
can you
want
say,
afford
and you
it,
have
but
to
do
be
you
able
wanna
to
use
see
that
it,
much
it had,
money?
I mean, that's.
Yeah,
a-
it's because the building up alone, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing was pretty expensive.
Yes, I would agree.
I have seen structures of stone and then the, along as the decorative piece, but then the, more of the wood with it, rather than using the stone as your, putting something on there. So you-
Oh.
Right, you can
Yeah.
do some mason work on the side and then have the
Yeah.
sign with it. That would be
Yes,
an
that might
option
be- yeah,
probably. That
that
might be more
cheap, yeah.
visibly, and then you have print on both sides and you'd have the stone showing as
Yes.
decorative. So maybe that's an option.
More options, yeah.
I think you got to get it up off the ground high enough. I mean, that's the one thing the lacrosse sign did, it's 12 feet up in the air.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And they do,
I did
mean,
have
yeah.
other quotes from them, but we're, like I said, trying to get under a certain threshold so it didn't have to go out to bid. So we could maybe use
What's the
some
bid
other
threshold?
money, on other
Oh.
signage that we need throughout the park.
I know when I spoke with Bob Petrick as well, he expressed not just doing the cheapest option, that he thought it was important that we look at the quality and not what that would be for the park.
Yeah, and then like the
that
stone, you'd
something
have
we'll get
more
sponsors?
ability to play with it in the long term. Feel like with that sign that Arcadia is doing with Ben Golden, like that was another thought I had, was reaching out to him to get his perspective. Since they're going through it right now.
He's pretty much completed that one now as far as the project.
So how big a pain is, I'm not familiar with county's bid process.
Oh, we just have to put it out for an RFP if it goes up, if we think it should be over a $10,000 project.
Oh.
Do we need more committee approval besides this committee? Yeah. We would need exec and finance.
Correct. It would need to go to county board,
Yep.
I believe.
Just take their thing.
Okay.
Would it, if there's money, if we have money into the account,
I think,
it's still, you think so?
Right, I don't think it
I
needs
don't-
to
I don't
go
think so.
forward because it's already budgeted.
If the money's there, yeah.
yeah.
How much did we budget for it?
I was hoping to get this done in my original plans from 8 to 12, and I kind of told those guys that. And then I think Stoneworks gave us a huge discount
Oh, yeah.
on their boulder. It was like $3,100, and they want to work with us. And Lacrosse Sign did give me a project for $13,000, $20,000, and I asked him to come back with something lower. So there is room to maybe trying to get something bigger and better. But it's just, do we want to, put it all into this, or, we need signs for the water trail project coming up, and stuff like that, to where I originally thought I'm gonna come in, try to get some lower quotes for this, and then we can talk about it as a committee.
What size do you need for the water trail? What, like,
Well, it would probably be signage at all the potential ports, starting at Colonel Larson and going down, to where the Trempealeau meets the Mississippi. And there,
So
we've
like make a-
identified
make a
11
thing for
potential
me.
ports in
Like,
that
oh.
area.
yeah, like this big or big, or how big?
Probably like a bigger 4x6 type sign.
4x6.
Yeah.
I thought it was just gonna be like a size of a parking sign and then.
It depends, like for the one at Petrick, we'd have a bigger sign, and then you'd have smaller signs throughout the trail. Just the little ones.
So on the water trail, have you gotten any anecdotal feedback of river usage, I guess building upon Lori's comment for this year under our current programming and marketing and signage and access points and everything that we currently have going?
I don't have river usage numbers with me now. I know it.
Are people doing it? Are they paddling?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen quite a people there on the weekends, and especially on the more popular type
My-
things
my
that are
guess
going.
is it's-
4th of July,
marketing, yeah.
it's packed.
Oh,
I
really?
know.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of traffic on the river
Great.
during 4th of
Yeah.
July, but it's just, trying to get some people that don't know about the Trempealeau River to start using it.
That's just that marketing piece and just making sure that Lexi's got all the info on that and somebody's out there on the 4th of July taking pictures, because that's what it looks like all the time. And then, that's part of that.
Just a suggestion, Lori, could you develop a subcommittee to work with Jack and maybe Lexi and whoever to develop some kind of a signage that we maybe all can agree on and get some different prices, and if we have to set it out for bids, do it, but at least to begin with, kind of develop what we want. And I know you and Kevin have spoke a lot about it. And maybe
Yeah.
you two would be on the
I'm
subcommittee.
close, I can get there and check whatever you guys want to check.
We probably should wait until Rebecca gets back on the room, because I'm thinking of the financial aspect of this. You have an ad hoc committee and you're going to be spending more money for meetings. Whereas I'm thinking Jack, not that I'm saying good input is not a good idea, but I'm thinking Jack has a lot of experience in this area where
Sure.
maybe you can do some checking and report back to us.
Oh,
just
if
saying
you
the
want
other way.
river usage numbers, I don't have problems with that, or more clarification on signage. That's not a problem.
Because you'll be the person contacting various entities to give bids. I'm worried about the financial aspect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe what Rich was talking about was making sure that we and that would be part of Lexi's job, I would think, is making sure that it all kind of goes together. So that the signage and your, what that website's gonna look like and the reservation system and everything kind of like flows together, so the branding all looks the same kind of thing. We can, I'm happy to just, throw out whatever little information I know, and there's, wouldn't be a cost to doing that piece of it.
Maybe it's active participation in those meetings with Pilch and Barnett, because that's who we'd be working with for the tourism site, and gave us that color scheme a few months.
We have the branding guide. I don't know if
Yeah.
we need to hire them to
Right, yeah, we
retell
should
us
have
about
it,
the
yeah.
branding guide.
No, yeah, but like,
I mean,
they'd
that's
be
something you can do, Lexi.
They'd be
Yeah.
moving into that phase 2 with the tourism site, so a lot of kind of how we go forward is gonna be kind of, I'd say we want the stuff that we do at the park and like the water trail, we want it to match.
Yep, and that's
tourism
something that I
site.
can help with, that I don't think we need to pay them additional money
Right,
to
and it sounds
do.
like you are already contracting
Yes.
with professionals along these
Yes,
lines that you
yep.
probably don't need us.
Yeah, subcommittee.
Just bring back some suggestions.
And I think just know, if you need like volunteer help, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll volunteer Kevin, he'll run around and look, and look for you, but if you need, any help, you know, I'm happy to help. I don't know much about the Holman, Stone Ridge, I'm definitely gonna look into them, but, you know, I've worked with Lacrosse Sign for 30 years, so I know them real well, so if there's anything you need there, I'm happy to help with that, but I really think that pulling that whole signage thing together and all of that together with your marketing is what makes a difference, and, you know, just to put in your back pocket, Jack, is those, you know, the signs that you make, you know, just the signage ones, you know, we have the capability to make them out of that same, I don't know what that material is called that the Amish people make the chairs with. It starts with A, Anacarby or whatever. What is it?
Well, it's a
Poly kind of
plastic wood.
plastic
Yeah.
wood. Yes, it's got a fancy name, but that, plastic wood.
Everybody's got their own product, but there's a lot of them.
Yes, but it's like that. But I mean, any of those kinds of things, we would at least have we have that capability. So if you want to come over and make some signs, Jack, you're welcome. You know, but making everything so that it fits into your marketing plan is super important, I think. Okay, anything else on that? I guess fundraising is the next thing for Petrick Park's Natural Play Area Edition.
Yeah. So, like I said, we were kind of looking at just the grant, maybe coming into fruition, and gotta think about what our next steps are, when we reach out to stakeholders and know a little bit more. So I had sent you guys, kind of my plan for fundraising, in its categories, kind of an overview of the park and the project, the sponsor titles, and then the funding levels, basically. I excluded from that. I didn't want to share that information quite yet. But basically, it's from $250,000 to $100 donation. 5 categories that we could potentially sponsor: play elements, use a project board, give people recognition for donating through social media advertisements, and through just a plain sign, maybe by the play item or some type of donor board. That's something I've really seen park projects doing at a premium is these donor boards and giving recognition through that way. So you could have, I think the ones I had was Bluffland Builders, Riverbend Creators, Ridgetop Stewards, Raindrop Givers, and then Prairie Bloom Patrons. So just kind of covers the whole aspect of natural play and gives people a category for their donation. Also thinking about the construction and the excavation aspect of that, did reach out to, I think, Coolig, Hegg, and Dougie Sokup and Post D. Got to follow up with those 3 and think about, like, say we do get the grant, follow up with those 3 and start talking about in-kind contributions. And then also have to think about how to donate. So right now we have a donation policy for the county, and basically anything over $1,000 has to get mentioned and get county board approval. So, I mean, that donation policy, it might need to be thought about when we're going towards park fundraising. But right now we have to follow it to the T. So, I mean, the big players are kind of the main focus right now.
So if you got the big players, let's say we got the $100,000 donation who wants to stay anonymous, how does that happen at the county level?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a great question. That's probably a question for our corp council.
I
And
mean, you will get people that maybe don't want to be recognized.
Right, but as
and
of right
willing to
now, our
write
policy,
a very
let us
nice check.
explain it because of influence
Because
of
of
government
influence,
level.
Yeah.
so, yeah, there's a lot to think about with that policy, and the fundraising aspect of things, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview, because if, we get the grant and communications have to start going out, I mean, that's something that has to get figured out here eventually. sooner
Jack,
rather
when will
than
we know
later.
if we get that grant?
Early September.
September?
We're in the
Oh,
zone
we're in
now.
it.
We're
Okay.
in the zone.
We're in early September.
Potential
So then we
announcement
should
anytime.
probably
This
Yep.
is pretty
talk
exciting.
about that.
I'd say like a
donation.
week or two.
Will you send us an email, let us know?
Yes,
They would have to come up
absolutely.
with the whole board.
I can do that when I give you guys those Ashley quality improvements.
Okay.
Is it, you said Suzanne knows about it, or?
Susan,
Yeah, Suzanne.
perfect, okay. Perfect. Nope, okay. And then, the future agenda items is the Trempealeau River Water Trail update, and the next meeting's October 7th, which I am triple booked for, so,
All right, good to know.
yes. And, anything else? I think we can go
Anybody have
ahead.
any other things on the agenda that we need to
Add?
add? She's Lexi or Jack?
I mean, acceptance of a grant award, but I don't know if we can really put that
On until you
on
get it,
there
huh?
until we know.
No?
And, a grant award that size, it definitely will have to be mentioned to the board.
No, it's not. That would be,
Do we need a,
We can move it.
really? Can we? That would be
We
awesome.
we have the power to move it.
If we do, that would
As
be
long as it's okay with Richard
amazing.
and
Yeah,
Buzz and
if
Chris.
we
Buzz has
could.
one question. I think.
yeah, now that that regional outdoor rec plan is way down the road, do we need to look into that a little bit more? Is there anything in there that impacts us, Lexi, through marketing or any of the outcomes that, the reason I bring it up is there may be some opportunities that we're part of in there that could develop some grant opportunities for us in that RPM plan. I haven't read it in detail now that it's finished, but I keep getting emails on it almost daily.
Will it open us up for
I don't know,
grant?
that's my
The
question.
board outside, that might be.
It's your job.
I don't really know. I mean,
that's
the
why
meetings
we-
that I've been in, I don't know. I think they're trying to think about RTP, and that will definitely open us up for more grants,
I
recreation
just think
trails
we ought to get
program.
it on the radar screen if there's something there. Grant dates come and go, and if you miss one, then you're out.
You're done.
Yeah.
Often.
You might have to loop me into what that is, so I can look it up.
Okay, so I,
Conflict would be with
Oh, it's the regional outdoor recretional plan
eight county
for the
group.
8 counties
Oh,
that we're on the south edge of it.
I could do like the,
I'll look
any day, or any time during that week, like the
There's, like,
13th after
Meetings
that.
with Ross.
The 18th, okay. So I was gonna look and see.
You say the week of the 14th?
Yeah, that
They were
week of the
just trying
13th, 14th,
but you've got highway
15th,
meeting
yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's at 8 o'clock, we'll be done by 9:30, 10. Wanna
We
start
can
a
move
little
it
later?
back. Would that work for you, Lexi and Jack?
What's that?
If we did October 14th on the, does it work for you, Lex?
As long as my daycare's open, sure. They're open right now.
What day of the week is that?
It's a
That's Tuesday
Tuesday.
again, consistently when we've met before,
Okay.
but a week later.
We were gonna maybe do outdoor skills on one of those days, but I think a morning meeting will be fine.
So
you
what
shoot for
time?
like 10?
10 or
Whatever you think, Richard.
Yeah,
you've
what
got
do you
in
tell
time.
us
Give you
when-
comfort.
10:30 might be better, but
Let's do
Perfect.
10:30. I appreciate it, guys, because,
Yeah.
I appreciate it that I get to sit and watch you do all that work.
you still have to do the work.
So
It's just,
10:30?
don't get the credit.
Is that at 10:30?
10:30.
You don't get paid more for running a meeting.
I know. The way I'm going, I don't get paid. All right, anything else that we want to put on that agenda, or should we just go ahead and adjourn? Think we're good, let's adjourn, thank you so much.
Lori,
Have any
this is
budget-
Jean.
What?
Budget items you wanna
That's
talk
Jean wants to
about?
say something.
Go ahead, Jean.
No? Okay.
I just want clarification for the PTED meeting in October. That was the Tuesday, the 14th at 10 or 10:30?
10:30, Jean.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Good job, Dean.